Hello everybody, and today this is case management 2, this little video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this video for people to be able to use the reporting setup online, because I know a number of people find it not very easy to get into make their report. Now I've written the assessment and I've made a video for the assessment itself in order to help people answer the questions, but this is a little how-to on actually getting to the MRG, the Mandatory Reporting Guidelines reporting tool online. Okay, so let's have a look at that. First thing I'm going to do is share my screen, and then we're going to go online. We'll come back to this children's hierarchy of needs in a minute. See if I can get to that bit. Actually, we've gone a bit too far here, because we might start with this. This is your assessment guideline. So I'm just going to open this page up. This is what you get when you open up the page. And in order to know where you're going, this is not very easy. So we start MRG. There's a lot of stuff on this page. Welcome to the Child Story Reporter community. This is a New South Wales government organisational thing. So you're going to find Victoria is very different, but for our purposes, we're going to set on this New South Wales one. All the states in Australia will have obviously different links to make reports because they've got different organisational infrastructure. So here we are. Welcome to the Mandatory New South Wales Reporter Guide. We're able to use this as a model in our practicing session, so you don't need to worry too much. We're going to start with the decision tree, and in our case we're talking about Judith, who's 15 years old. She's reported being homeless and having suffered a rape after sleeping out the night before in a park, and she's arrived at Ballymore Community Centre. So in this case, we're going to choose sexual abuse as being a report that we need to make. Judith is 15, so as an underage person, she has experienced sexual abuse, and we are going to make the report here. So now we're in the reporting guidelines. Let's go through this a little bit. So we basically just answer the question. It's very simple. Here's the MRG. You can see we've moved to the mandatory reporting guide here. Please choose the sexual abuse concern you have for a young child or person. Sexual abuse of the children ages 0 to 15 years old. Sexual abuse of a young person aged 16 to 17. Child or young person, problematic sexual behavior towards others. So in this case, we're going to choose this top bracket here, and we're going to press next then. Okay, so under the next, we're going to go sexual abuse of a child, direct statement by the child related regarding sexual abuse. Did the child make a clear, unambiguous statement of sexual abuse? Yes, Judith has reported that she was raped, so we can click yes there. Now we go to question B. Are you aware the child has been sexually abused even though he or she hasn't told you? Now, this is a problem question, because this might relate to a number of interpretations that you have. Are you aware the child's been sexually abused? Is that in her life? Is that at home? Is that why she's homeless? I don't, even though she hasn't told you. So in this, you might naturally decide to pick no, but the actual answer is yes, because the statement is very badly worded, but we are aware that the child has been sexually abused, so we're going to pick yes. Don't worry about that too much. I think it's related to if you pick no upstairs, up on question A. But are you aware of the underage marriage has been planned? And no, we're not. There's no understanding of an underage marriage. This might relate to people being sent overseas, for example. Muslim communities sometimes send younger people overseas to get married within their traditional marriage ceremony. And here's a report up here, the definitions of the questions A, B, and C. So you can find out about that. we can get some information about this question here. If yes, if you have become aware that the child's been sexually abused, even though he or she hasn't told you, for example, you witnessed the act, heard about it. Now, this still relates to this idea of hearsay, that you have an understanding of sexual abuse has occurred, even though the child hasn't said so. So you pick, no, I'm not aware of the child being sexually abused, even though she hasn't told me, but she has told you, right? So I still think that there's problematic behaviors here. Okay, so there's some definitions down here of what this contains, and these are definitions of other people being involved and of the person doing it themselves. Okay, as sexual behaviors of the person themselves and sexual behaviors of people perpetrating acts on the abusive sexual behavior. So it's you see it's framed as abuse in that explanation here. So let's move to the next page. The existence of other concerns. The answers you have provided have been about your most serious concerns. Yes, we're aware of the rape, and that is a major concern for Judith at this time. There is no other serious concerns. There's some medical health issues, of course, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Do you have other concerns about the safety, well-being of the child? Yes, we do. So we're going to click yes and next here. Okay, so then we're going to write down a list of our other concerns. And in terms of how do we get to that list, what I want to take you to is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is why we're here. In order to generate this list, we're going to go to the very bottom of this is the most basic needs of a human person, right? This is around children. Judith is 15, and this is most appropriate. So on an adult one, you might see sex is something that is put down here as a basic physiological need. Sex is considered down here, and love is considered up here in social needs. But with children, obviously, sex is removed, and we've got psychological, age-appropriate food, sleep, shelter, human touch. All these are needs that can be categorized for Judith. Now, number one, look at it, healthy. Judith has complained about bleeding as a result of the rape. So the first thing you need to do is seek medical attention. So this is here in the hierarchy of needs. Number one, medical attention. Judith is homeless. She may have, she's probably not slept because she's traumatized. And let's say, even if she feels she's not traumatized, even if she's finding it difficult to admit that the rape has traumatized her, we're going to interpret that as her not really understanding yet what has happened to her. She's been abused, and as such, she might be feeling very defensive and refusing to acknowledge that that rape is as damaging to her as it is. So we're not going to acknowledge that. Are you feeling traumatized? No, I'm not. Okay, we're not going to accept that. We're going to say that Judith is most definitely traumatized by this experience. She slept out at night. She's been lonely. She's been alone. She's been abused. She's been attacked. A frightening experience. And she's actually suffered physical abuse and sexual rape as part of that, which is about as bad as things get for people, beyond being killed. So we're going to definitely identify trauma is a big problem here. She's probably not slept as a result of the trauma. She may not have eaten, who knows, but let's assume she's homeless and she hasn't. She's got no shelter, and that she might want some human contact, somebody who'll be able to take care of her because she's been abused in a very bad way. So all of these are definitely on the big list that you want to start writing down in that list here. Number one, medical attention, take her to hospital. Number two, she's going to need somewhere to stay. She's going to need somewhere to be safe. She's going to need some trauma counseling. So most definitely you want to call the sexual assault center. If it's geared towards younger people, that's great. If it's not, it doesn't matter. It's a sexual assault center. Even if she's around older people, that won't really be the case. I would rather her go to a sexual assault center than a generic homeless service for younger people. I think that would be a far more appropriate support agency. Now, in terms of that hierarchy of needs list, let's go back there. In terms of our hierarchy of needs, human touch. Let's find out for this person, who is the significant other for her, who's an older person, might be a friend, might be a relative, might be an auntie, might be her parents that she's had a bit of a falling out with. It might not be a serious thing. We're not clear about what that is, but we need to ask Judith, and we need to get some information about providing someone that she knows cares for her to support her. And that doesn't mean that we're obliged then to report the rape to that other person, just to contact them, and perhaps as it's a rape, not perhaps, we will definitely be calling the police, by the way. So through the police might be the right organization to try and make contact with that other person, but they might not be the right people to ask Judith. So before anything else happens, Judith has got some medical needs, and we're not aware that she seems to be walking. There's no indication in the case study that she's going to die imminently. So there's nothing to stop us putting her in the car and driving her to the hospital to take care of Judith. Now, in that situation, we can start asking some questions. Where are you folks? What's happening with your parents? Why did you not? Ask some questions around the situation to get some background for Judith in order to report to the police. Because you might be in a better situation if she sees a police uniform, she might be hostile towards having a chat with them. Whereas you might be able to build better rapport in your situation and get meaningful information as you can get it. She's probably vulnerable and she might be more willing to give it then. Unfortunately, we're going to take advantage of that situation as much as we can for Judith's benefit. So that's where we are on this. Let's go back to we're going to write this down here. I'm going to write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to say that that's our list. We can add some stuff here. Medical, shelter, food, and you can write this further. Support, let's call it emotional support. Emotional support. And let's put down here trauma counselling. And that might happen in the hospital. It might happen oh, I can't spell trauma. That's terrible, isn't it? Oh, counselling. Can't spell trauma or counselling. I shouldn't be an English teacher either, should I? So let's go back here. Trauma. Actually, the U goes over here, I believe. There, it was there all along. I just forgot where it went. Counselling, we're not worried about spelling there. Okay, and we're going to go next. Trauma counselling. So we're going to click next, and we've got our. You've been provided. Do you have any current concerns about the safety, well-being of a class of children or young people? Okay, let's read what this is about, because this is about other people. There's a class of children or young. So this is a social advocacy group. So this is, are you aware that there's perhaps a group of people who might be required, they might be attending a certain class where you're aware of a teacher might be abusive, for example, something like that. Okay, so when they say a class of young people, that's kind of what they're talking about. And we're going to say no, this is a single incident of rape, and there we have it. And the immediate report is to the Children's Protection Hotline, and make sure you've got these details ready. So think about this, we're going to need these details, and we've just come across Judith. So I'm not going to worry about collecting these details right now. I'm more interested in making sure that Judith is taken to hospital to ensure that there's absolutely no problem with her. If she says she's not bleeding badly, she might be a bit shy. Who knows? She might have some very significant internal bleeding. We don't know. So I'm going to, first of all, take care of her medical needs, and that's going to take precedence over everything. So I'm putting her in the car and I'm driving to the hospital. In doing that, I'm going to then ask those details as we talked about earlier. I'm going to just kind of double check come back on things. You didn't know the attacker? No. Okay. Is your boyfriend around? Where's your boyfriend? Do you have a boyfriend? No. And did you know the attacker? Sorry, oh, you told me, didn't you? Yes. But, you know, play dumb and ask those questions. And then go through that situation. Then you report that to the Child Protection Helpline. But because it's a rape, first and foremost, I'd be going to the hospital, making sure the person's seeing a doctor and is supported through that process, and where possible, popping out and or talking to the doctor and saying, can you call the police, please? This is a situation of rape, and ask the police to send somebody. So then they will have somebody come around, and you support the person. You act as their significant other support person with the police people so that they feel they're not harassed by the police. And you go through this process, eventually getting to a point in time where the report to the Children Protection Helpline might not be happening till the end of the day. That might, because the Children Protection Helpline, they will make sure that you've crossed the T's and dotted the I's on this to make sure that you've covered all the angles of support, as well as making a record of this and recording Judith's details and her circumstances in case she pops up again. Let's imagine that maybe it might be her a stepfather or something that's abused her and dumped her in the park. And that if this happens again, she comes up with the same story. This pops up again. This becomes recognised as, this is a very strange thing. This has happened before to the same person. So this is how some information can come to light. So in this regard, we are not required to immediate report to the Children Protection Helpline. Immediate means today, but it doesn't mean that it needs to take the precedent of other support needs, which will become more urgent based on, once again, let me show you, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs is where you kind of go wherever you're developing a support plan for young people. And if you Google children's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you will get this. All I did was press this into Google, and this is what came out. So I think we have covered that enough. Let's get to this point of trying to print this out. Let's move that out of the way. Generate a PDF. So if we generate a PDF there, so there's a PDF, here we go, and then we save it, file, save as, and we save it as a document in our computer, okay? So let's save it in Case Management 2, and we'll save it in we'll just save it there, MRG flow embed. And on here, let's have a look at what's on the document, because this is what you then upload up to the portal. And there's the additional comments that we wrote down there. You might want more details in there, okay? Then you call the Child Protection Hotline as a worker. There's the number for New South Wales, and you report with these details. And you use this as a document, a reporting document, and then you'll put this in a real situation in a person's file, along with case notes of what has occurred for the incident. And there would be fairly extensive case notes, as you could imagine. Okay, that's going to bring us to the end of our little video today. I'm going to finish up here and say thanks very much for dropping by. Looking forward to working with you again in the future. Thanks again. Okay, take care.